If you're afraid of law and order, maybe you're the problem. You do that to provoke a military response, which is what's happened. It's not civil disobedience, it's domestic terrorism with an Instagram filter. Because these virtue-soaked soapboxes turned every ceremony into a sanctimonious cringe fest. You people aren't entertainers anymore. You're punchlines. They scream for peace while glorifying riots. They cry about fascism while demanding censorship. They'll find something wrong with curing cancer as long as Trump's the one holding the syringe. These aren't just media hacks and activist frauds. They're the reason the country is coming undone. Public is waking up. That's why their shows are dying. That's why their base is shrinking. That's why their own people are leaving, tuning out, flipping sides, finally seeing through the smoke.
Find the colors, find the light. In the gray, we'll find our sight. Brutal banner, fierce word. Shadows scream, streets unheard.
Welcome to Stay in the Gray podcast. I'm your host, Ryan, and I'm here to bring you raw conversations about life and those undeniable human truths. We dive into the chaos, one issue at a time, blending comedy, controversy, and the unexplainable. Get ready for transparent ideas straight from the gray areas where most answers are hiding. So stay curious, stay inquisitive, please stay laughing, stay in the gray. Come check it out. We'll see you there. Hey everyone. Welcome to They Really Said That, the Riot Edition. They keep feeding it. They keep feeding the fire, no pun intended, and I just can't stop with it. The absurdity. I'm going to highlight the absolute dumbest words spoken by the loudest frauds during total chaos. As we all know, LA is burning. Contrary to what some people will try and tell you, ICE is doing its job, and somehow that's what the media, lefty politicians, celebrities, and the vast minority of American citizens find offensive. Today, we're spotlighting the spin artists, the race baiters, the late night clowns, and the elected degenerates who looked at violence and thought, you know what? This is our moment to be loud and to lie louder. Because yes, they really said that. We're about to remind them just how stupid it sounded. This is Stay in the Gray podcast. I'm Ryan. It's June 16th, 2025. Let's roll. I couldn't lead off with anybody more deserving of this honor. He is a late night clown who forgets he's a clown. That goes to Jimmy Kimmel. This man may be the most infuriating of all. It's a long list, but he's right up there. I swear he has dreams where Donald Trump is touching his no-no spots. He'll say anything and everything to go against our president. He's the biggest hypocrite, possibly in all of Hollywood. Check this out. Just getting into the time here, guys. All right.
Here at our studio in Hollywood, which might be surprising for those of you in other parts of the country who have been watching cable news and believe this city is some kind of totalitarian hellscape right now. It most certainly is not. In fact, let's take a look outside because I want you to see what it's like in Hollywood right now. You won't see this elsewhere on television. Not only is it not an apocalypse, they're having a Disney Pixar movie premiere right now for Elio, a movie about aliens. Don't tell Trump, he'll send the Green Berets in too, but...
Haha. All 20 people were clapping at those. I've got more Jimmy for you coming up in just a second. But, oh wow. A full house there in studio? You mean the 5 studio interns and the 6 virtue signaling trust fund kids who still think you're kind of funny? That's cute. I guess when you cater to a dying bubble of late night leftovers, any turnout for you feels like Woodstock. Let's be real, your ratings have been circling the drain since people stopped mistaking sarcasm for intelligence. And now you're out here playing this crisis denier in chief, showing a handful of cherry-picked blocks in a city of 4 million people as proof that LA is perfectly calm. LA is the second largest city in the country. There are calm blocks, yes. There are also bricks flying, cop cars burning, and small businesses being wiped off the map. You cannot deny this as much as you want to. You know it. You just don't care because it doesn't fit the narrative that your handlers sent you. And then it gets worse.
I'm very angry, I have to say. I cannot believe what's going on. I knew it was going to be bad. I did not know it was going to be this bad. People who have lived here their whole lives, people who've been in this city longer than I have, the vast majority of whom have never done anything wrong, are being abducted, which is the correct word to use, by agents in masks, hiding their identities, grabbing people off the street and at work, sending people to detention centers, and to protest that, which is not only our right as Americans, it's our responsibility. Los Angelenos have been gathering to demonstrate, and with very few exceptions, peacefully demonstrate, to voice their opposition to this disgusting and unnecessary abuse of power instigated by our mentally ill president, who is dead set on exacerbating this, who actually wants conflict, who is intentionally inflaming and lying to make it seem like there's a war going on here.
Enough of that. Oh my gosh. Jimmy launches into that crocodile tear monologue about fruit vendors earlier on, talking about the people who are being rounded up and sent away. And if the fruit vendor is there illegally, you know what? It's unbelievable. He's angry that they're being rounded up because apparently breaking the law doesn't count if you have a cart of mangoes and a sympathetic white liberal hosting a television show. Let's be clear. They are here illegally. I've said it a million times, and all of us that see clearly have said it a million times. You can cry about it all you want, but that doesn't erase the border that they ignored. You say the vast majority haven't done anything wrong. Well, first off, they have. They're here illegally. Second, some have done worse. And when you're protesting, when you're protecting most, as you're saying, you're also shielding the worst. That's how your side works, though. Then Kimmel goes off as moral philosopher, talking about the responsibility to protest, as if flipping cars, ambushing cops, and looting small businesses is a noble rite of passage. These aren't exceptions, Jimmy. These are riots. They're coordinated and they're violent. They're everywhere. Stop pretending your city's on a yoga retreat while Target down the street is literally burning down. And you know what's sick? This is the same guy, I'm talking to you, Jimmy, who built his career on The Man Show, degrading women in bikinis, something about jumping on trampolines every show, judging them, and mocking anyone with a pulse. I found it humorous. I enjoyed the show because I knew what it was. And now he's pretending to be America's conscience? Jimmy Kimmel calling the president mentally ill for enforcing the law is like a strip club DJ lecturing a judge on morality. And while we're fact-checking your delusion, Jimmy, a March 2024 Rasmussen poll found 68% of Americans support mass deportation of illegal immigrants. That includes a large chunk of independents and even Democrats. You're the minority now, Jimmy. The loud, smug, insulated, out-of-touch minority. And here's the real kicker. How do you look into the camera knowing how full of shit you are? This is about Trump to you. It's always has been. You spent years foaming at the mouth about a man who wouldn't piss on you if you were on fire, because hating him gives your empty monologue some illusion of meaning. It's not that he's the villain, it's that you need him to be. And yeah, I'm angry too, Jimmy. Not at the chaos, not at the illegals per se, at scum like you. The cowards who feed the flames and then act shocked when the country starts to choke on the smoke. Next. And it gets better. I don't know who this person is. Doshi. Sure. Well, she definitely got the award acceptance memo. God, watch this.
I want to address what's happening right now outside of the building. There are ruthless attacks that are creating fear and chaos in our communities in the name of law and order. Trump is using military forces to stop a protest. And I want y'all to consider what kind of government it appears to be when every time we exercise our democratic right to protest, the military is deployed against us. What type of government is that? People are being swept up and torn from their families, and I feel it's my responsibility as an artist to use this moment to speak up for all oppressed people, for Black people, for Latino people, for trans people, for the people in Gaza. We all deserve to live in hope and not in fear, and I hope we stand together, my brothers and my sisters, against hate, and we protest against it. Thank you, BET.
Yeah, all right. I should have cut it off, but I don't know. Maybe someone out there wanted to hear the absurdity continue. Yes, Dochi. Apparently she's a singer, rapper, influencer, and full-time professional victim. She's addressing what's happening outside the building at that moment. I wish she would. But instead of the actual chaos, and I'll say it again, burned cars, bricks flying, businesses looted, she's out here crying about law and order, like the law is some sort of boogeyman. She says, there are attacks causing fear in the name of law and order. Yeah, no shit. If you're afraid of law and order, maybe you're the problem. You know who's causing the fear, Dochi? The people flipping the cop cars, who are chunking concrete slabs at officers' skulls and breaking into family-owned stores to steal Jordans. But hey, let's not talk about them. Who cares if they're scared? Let's weep for the oppressed. Then she goes full hallucinogenic with the quote you just heard. Every time you enact your right to protest, the military is deployed against you. Oh yeah? Every time? Show me the tape. Show me every peaceful protest that ended with tanks rolling down the street. You know what? Show me one. You won't, because it doesn't exist. This is not 1965, and you are not MLK. You're parroting a script written by someone who failed civics, but passed TikTok class. Here's the kicker. She's not talking about the protest. She's covering for the riots, for looting and violence and actual crimes. No, you don't enact your right to protest by throwing Molotovs. You do that to provoke a military response, which is what's happened. It's not civil disobedience. It's domestic terrorism with an Instagram filter. Then, of course, she pulls out the woke infinity gauntlet because it's not enough to whine about LA. She's got to rattle off every oppressed buzzword and group on the planet. I stand for Black people, trans people, Latino people, people in Gaza. Cool. Let's just roll the credits on the Oppression Olympics. But somehow, all these people you want to look after and care for, no white people, no Jews, screw them. They didn't make the list. It's funny how that works. And don't even try to sell me that this was her idea. That speech had all the soul of a DNC group text written by an unpaid intern. You really expect me to believe that she whipped that all up by herself? Nah. Someone handed her that script backstage right after makeup. But you know what? It's kind of the silver lining to all this, because only about 150 people watched that joke of a speech live. And the reason it isn't just Dochi, it's because no one watches award shows anymore. This is all it is. It's It's because these virtue-soaked soapboxes turned every ceremony into a sanctimonious cringe fest. You people aren't entertainers anymore. You're punchlines. If you want to speak up, fine. Just don't pretend you're brave for lying about riots while being protected by armed security inside an auditorium literally guarded by armed law enforcement. The same people you're okay with being spit on, assaulted, and demonized outside those very walls that you're talking about. All right, next. I gave her way too much credit. I don't even know who the hell she is. We all know who the next one is. Here it is. Hillary Clinton. Just like a political poltergeist who refuses to cross over, she's back. Hillary Clinton. Materializing once again to tweet about events that no one asked her to comment on. Because when America's in flames, what we really need is the opinion of someone who hasn't been relevant since Obama wiped the floor with her in 2008. Let's take this one line at a time, shall we? First, California Governor Newsom didn't request the National Guard. Cool. And who the hell cares if he didn't request it? When the commander-in-chief sees that a state's leadership is so paralyzed by politics, they won't even attempt to stop the destruction. He acts. That's what leadership looks like. Hillary, you wouldn't know much about that. Trump sent them anyway. It's the first time in 60 years, this is Hillary again, it's the first time in 60 years, a president has made that choice. Right, because maybe, just maybe, Hillary, no president in 60 years has had to deal with a governor so hell-bent on sabotaging his own state, just to spite the guy in D.C. Newsom would rather watch Los Angeles burn than do something that Trump might agree with. That is not leadership. That's sabotage by ego. And here comes the Hillary special. Trump's goal isn't to keep Californians safe. His goal is to cause chaos, because chaos is good for Trump. What the hell does that even mean? Chaos is good for Trump? Yeah, because if there's one thing Donald Trump is known for, it's starting endless wars, right? Oh, wait. No. That was your buddy Biden. And your husband. And you, when you were cheering from the Senate floor. Trump is the guy who tried to pull troops out. Meanwhile, your party cheers on every burned precinct and flipped cop car like it's halftime entertainment. If you want to talk chaos, let's count it off. Who tears down statues? Who burns our flag? Who screams in people's faces at abortion rallies? Who blocks highways and sets buildings on fire when they lose an election? Who made violence a lifestyle brand? Take a good long look, Hillary, then shut your mouth and fade back into irrelevance. Because here's the truth. You don't care about Californians. You care about retweets. You care about still being a part of the conversation. And every time you speak, the rest of the country collectively rolls its eyes and mutters, "She's still here?" And by the way, you knew it was coming. You want to lecture anyone about chaos and leadership? You left Americans to die in Benghazi and lied about it with a smile. Sit down, Hillary. The grown-ups are trying to clean up your mess. Next, another one I'm not too sure I know of, but she made the cut for stupidity. This is Ahna Mac. Apparently a singer, but let's be honest. After you see this, public speaking and critical thinking will officially be off the table. I'd never heard of her before, and after this disaster, I can see why. Check it out.
What I really don't fuck with, how ICE is coming for all the Latinos, but what about the Polish people that aren't supposed to be here? The Russians. It's hella white, undocumented Americans in this bitch. It's hella white people that shouldn't be here. Hella white people that shouldn't be here. Not a single Russian, not a single Polak. I can go there. We can go there. This shit's so fucking weird. Why the fuck ICE not arresting the Polish people, the Italians that came on the fucking boat too? Bitch, they just as much as immigrants, bitch.
I'm sorry for making you dumber after watching that. She confidently claims that, I can't even take her seriously. She claims that ICE is only deporting Latinos, not Russians, not Polacks. She was very set on Russians and Polacks. And, of course, the Italians who just got off the boat. What boat, Anna? You mean like The Godfather 2? That was bad. I can admit when they're bad. This isn't immigration policy. This right here that she just did is like a Saturday Night Live sketch during a hangover. She's basically trying to revive the tired, we're all immigrants argument. No, we're not. I was born here. Millions of us were. And as for the people who built this country, they didn't sneak in and break laws and then demand amnesty while waving the flag of the country they fled. Here is the kicker. If there are Russians, Polacks, or Italians here illegally, guess what, Anna? They'll be deported too. That's kind of the whole point of having borders. But maybe they're not the ones looting stores and throwing Molotovs during protests. Maybe they're smart enough to lay low instead of live streaming their crimes on TikTok. And seriously, does anyone watch this Anna girl and nod and go, wow, she sounds really well informed. Better follow her for geopolitical insight? No one says that. You don't get your opinions from Ahna Mac. You get promotional codes for merch that no one's buying. This is what happened when TikTok activism collides with zero real-world knowledge. It's all vibes and no facts. So thanks for your take, Anna. But maybe stick to singing. I haven't heard her yet, so I don't know. Because when it comes to immigration law, you're about as useful as a piñata at a police station. Another one of my favorites. She may be up there with all of them. Kimmel and AOC and the whole slew. I cannot stand this woman. Rachel Maddow. I'm just going to play you the clip. Here it is.
For a president who is flailing and panicking and literally calling in the troops to try to wage a physical war against his own people because the people are against him and he has no idea what to do about it. What we are seeing right now in California is a president panicking. We have never before in the history of the U.S. presidency seen a president who is less popular than this one at this point in his term. And we have never seen a president less politically skilled, less politically equipped than this one to turn that kind of problem around. And so he has panicked. He is trying to hit the eject button.
What? I've never seen so much bullshit wrapped in a little bow in about 30 seconds at a time. Rachel Maddow, the Harry Potter cosplay queen of smug misinformation, the woman who's turned Trump derangement syndrome into a personality brand. She kicked the clip off, as you heard, with this banger. Trump is panicking, waging war against his own people. Really, Rachel? You think he wants chaos? You and Anna must be hanging out. Or was that Hillary? I forget. You think he just randomly woke up and sent troops into LA for fun? Think he enjoys ordering ICE to do their job because a bunch of local politicians are too cowardly to enforce that law? How about the previous administration who caused this problem by allowing 21 million immigrants illegally to cross the border? He's cleaning up the mess. Tell me, who caused the chaos you're referring to? Who set the fires? Who organized the mob? Who turned the protests into a war zone? You want to talk about waging war on his own people? Let's talk about the brick throwers and the flag burners and the people attacking and spitting on cops just for existing. But no, Rachel wants to frame it as Trump attacking the people. Except the people she's talking about are the fringe few out on the streets defending criminals. Then she tries this gem. Never has there been a president less popular than this one at any point in his presidency. You can't be serious. You're on a network news channel and you're lying straight to everybody's face. And it's not even a creative lie. Gallup, Harris X, Rasmussen, name it. Trump's approval rating is high and is continuing to rise. And more importantly, the policies that you're crying about, Rachel, the public loves them. A recent Rasmussen poll shows nearly 70% of Americans support mass deportation of illegal immigrants. I've given that statistic before, and it applies. 70% is a lot of the country. So, Rachel, you are not the voice of the people. You are the voice of a dying demographic that thinks everyone who disagrees with them must be a Nazi or fascist or all those words that you have no idea what they mean. Or you do, and you're just choosing to use them anyway. The best part of that clip with Rachel Maddow is how she paused after saying Trump was not popular. Like, even she didn't believe her own bullshit. It was great. Go back and look. That microsecond of hesitation before diving back into Fantasyland. That's called accidentally touching the truth. And then next up, of course, she says, we've never seen a president less politically skilled. Skilled? According to who? You? Trump beat 17 Republicans, then Hillary Clinton, then pulled a peace deal out of the Middle East, then got record Latino and black voter turnout in 2020, and he's still the most dominant figure in politics. You don't like his style? That's different from being unskilled. But keep rejecting. It's what your network does best. And here comes the spin cycle closer from Rachel. Someone convinced him that attacking immigrants would help him politically. Attacking immigrants? He's not attacking immigrants. He's enforcing laws. There's a difference. One, you're too dishonest to admit and too smug to even pretend to understand. Nobody had to convince him. He ran on that. He won on that. It was the entire point. And now that he's actually doing it, your little MSNBC fantasy circle can't cope. Just for fun, let's talk ratings for a second. As of the latest Nielsen data, Fox News still leads in total primetime viewers. CNN gets humiliated regularly, especially in key demographics, but they hang on every once in a while. Let's talk about MSNBC, dead last among the three major cable networks, news networks, and the all-important 25 to 54 demographic, the one that advertisers actually care about. To make it worse, some nights they're getting outdrawn by reruns of The Five on Fox, shout out to Jesse Waters, and random cooking shows on the Food Network. So yes, while Rachel Maddow plays resistance cosplay, most of America has moved on. Her audience is basically a book club full of retired professors, a few guilt-ridden interns, and people who can't find the remote. That means Rachel's rants are being outwatched by reruns of Guy's Grocery Games and back-to-back episodes of Pawn Stars. And you know what? That actually checks out, because Judge Judy and Guy Fieri deal in reality. Rachel deals in fantasy. All right, I got to talk about this really fast before we wrap it up. Here's a woman named Isra Hersey. We all know her because she is the daughter of Ilhan Omar, who's the congresswoman that we all know I adore. Because what's more American than enjoying every freedom this country has to offer while screaming for its downfall? Isra's exact words posted to Instagram were this: "From LA to Rafah, there is one common oppressor. Death to the colonial empire." Oh, so we're doing full-on death chants now. That's where we are, people. And not to be outdone, she followed up with globalize the intifada. Let's pause right there. globalize the intifada, I think I'm saying that right, is not protest language. It's a slogan rooted in violent uprising, originally referring to militant Palestinian movements. It's been used by groups endorsing everything from stone throwing to suicide bombings. And now it's being casually thrown around by a U.S. Congresswoman's daughter from the comfort of her well-funded American life. But of course, the real kicker, Instagram wiped the post like they never happened. The same platforms that fact-checked jokes or slap warning labels on political satire erased this unhinged garbage from public view. Because God forbid anyone actually see who she and her mother really are. Death to the empire, globalize the intifada. If there was a conservative kid shouting death to the Middle East in broad daylight, it'd be in front page news. Every anchor would be having a national stroke. There'd be calls for resignation and cancellation, congressional hearings by the hour. But when the call for violence comes from the left and from the right identity box, we look the other way. And make no mistake, this silence is intentional. Because to confront it, you'd have to admit the truth. That a sitting member of Congress raised someone who openly fantasizes about the collapse of the country that took them in. And no one, not the White House, not even most of Congress, has the guts to say anything. Instead, they hide behind press releases, they shrug at anti-Semitic slogans, and hope you don't notice. Well, I noticed. So here's my message. If you want to scream death to the empire, go try that in Qatar or Egypt. Go to Iran, especially right now, and yell death to the caliphate from a stage. You won't make it past the tarmac. But here, you get praised, protected, platformed. And we, the sane ones, are told to sit down, shut up, and stop being dramatic. No, this is not drama. This is decay. And it's time people started calling it what it is. Here's what we've learned with all the receipts I just gave you. They lie, they spin, they slander, they demonize law and order while wrapping themselves in security at the same time. They throw tantrums and they weaponize race and gender and then call you the extremist. They scream for peace while glorifying riots. They cry about fascism while demanding censorship. They'll find something wrong with curing cancer as long as Trump's the one holding the syringe. These aren't just media hacks and activist frauds. They're the reason the country is coming undone. The public is waking up. That's why their shows are dying. That's why their base is shrinking. It's why their own people are leaving, tuning out, flipping sides, and finally seeing through the smoke. They are not the future. They are just a glitch. A loud, bitter blip in America's story. Best forgotten and quickly. Here's the twist. Even their own side is starting to panic. As of today, according to two of the most liberal rags there are, I'll give you the best. Washington Post. Democrat leaders are worried that these riots and unhinged protests could backfire, handing Trump the exact narrative that they've tried to bury. The Wall Street Journal says some on the left are privately admitting it. Backing the chaos is a bad look, and they know it's driving voters away. That Democrat approval rating, if you want to talk about popularity, Rachel Maddow, is like hovering at like 17%. That's not very good in case you didn't know that. And it's continuing to drop. So Jimmy, Rachel, Hillary, Dochi, Ahna, and Isra, and the rest of the crumbling clique. Your time is up. Your lies are tired. Well, not afraid of your hashtags anymore. Mic is dropped. Fade away to black. Like and subscribe. Follow, comment, join me. All the things. Let me know. Let me know how enraged you are by this, or if you're just at the point of laughter. I'm trying to get there, but it's hard. So stay strong, stay smart, stay laughing, stay in the grave. Love you guys.